All right, what I'm going to share with you a bit of a case study that we went through out at UC Davis on campus here recently. So my goal is to answer three questions. Oh, I'm on the wrong, there we go. How do general contractors become involved in the university bicycle and micromobility planning? How do these plans impact our projects on campus, and how do we make this happen effectively and efficiently for our clients? So looking at it through that lens, how do we get involved? Really, it's through the design build process that's becoming more and more prevalent nationwide in the higher education core market. So that understanding that these general contractors are now responsible to implement the vision of the university's program, we become intimately involved with all those folks in the planning effort. And as we just heard from a couple of universities, these programs can be really dynamic and change very quickly. So as a design team, that poses challenges for us. On the left-hand side of the screen, I'm showing what we were given as the criteria for the project. We were told you need to have a minimum of 800 parking spaces for bike parking. Here's a general size of the area, and that's really all the information we were given. So from there, we start looking at the layout and validating that 800 bike parking. And at the time we submitted our proposal for this job, this was the solution the university was looking for. But by the time we actually got into design within the first 2 months, their plan had changed, their product that they wanted had changed. So that greatly influenced our design. So these slides really show how the evolution of the design happened and how the bike parking and the material, the bike rack itself, was the driver. So how does this planning and micromobility planning impact our projects? There is, at the macro level, there are large areas of the sites that are allocated for bike parking on a university campus, meaning it greatly impacts our site design and the flow of the students in and out of the building, and safety and security. This building, for this bike parking area, there will be 2,000 students coming in and going out of that building during that 10-minute period between classes. So the flow of traffic through this area was very heavily considered in our design. At the micro level, the bike storage design impacts or is impacted by all of our code accessibility requirements, drainage and stormwater management, student behavior, all of which can have a ripple effect through the site as we're trying to define a project for the owner. So ultimately, we started with a very linear approach to squeeze those 800 bikes into this area. Ultimately, it came down to the way the students used the bike racks. That the university came back to us and said, of those 800 bike racks, we won't get 800 bikes parked there just because of the nature of the layout and how the students park their bikes. So they came to us with an alternate product, working with ground control systems to come up with, we reduced the total number of bike parking spots to 684, but we were able to reorganize this, create a better flow for the students, make it more inviting. And ultimately, ground control was that partner that was there with us to help us really refine the detailed information about which rack we were going to use and how we were going to position them to ensure we weren't running into situations where bike tires were out on path of travel and other concerns from the planning aspect. But it's people like ground control that have that expertise that are able to come in and assist us and my landscape architect and my civil engineer and make sure that we are designing this to be as functional as possible, but also we're using the right product out there. And if we're not, they can challenge us to really think about it differently and maybe change up our design. One thing I didn't mention was the sustainability impacts of the bike parking and bike storage on a campus. As we're trying to achieve lofty sustainability goals, LEED Gold, LEED Platinum, bike parking and alternative transportation are huge factors in us being able to achieve that. So as we are going through the design process, the bike parking becomes such a huge part of what we're trying to do. So as we do this to efficiently and effectively, You know, we've come up with the right solution because we got the right people in the room to have that conversation.